Hello and welcome. I am Deji Badimasi and this is Politics Today. Now, 2015 may still be some 3 years away. The issue of where the next president of the country should come from is beginning to heat up. Mind you, the current president, Goodluck Jonathan, has not openly said he won't run, but that has not stopped other geopolitical zones from canvassing their position. A group of former prominent leaders, I should say, from the southeast zone of the country addressed a press conference recently in Abuja where it argued that the next president should come from that zone. The group said the zone has been seriously marginalized as far as the presidency of the country is concerned, and that it is only fair and just that the zone should be allowed to produce the next president of the country. I'm now being joined from our Abuja studio by one of the leaders of that group. I'm a former governor of Anambra State, Chief Chukwuemeka Ezeife. Chief Chukwuemeka Ezeife, thank you very much for joining us. Unfortunately, I understand we do not have him. So, well, while we wait to connect with Chief Chukwuemeka Ezeife, the former governor of Anambra State now, well, let me just say that this is surely not the best of time for the National Security Advisor, retired General Andrew Azazi, what with the current security challenge the country is battling at the moment. But what is really giving the NSA debilitating heat right now is a comment he made at the just concluded South-South Economic Summit. Now, we don't know whether to call it a gaffe on the part of the NSA, but here is what... Here's a statement he made over the Boko Haram insurgency that is now attracting so much criticism, even from the president himself. Take a listen.
People will not agree with me. They would like to attack me, but please do it in private. I want to believe that PDP got it wrong from the beginning. From the onset by saying, Mr. A can rule, Mr. A cannot rule, Mr. B can rule, Mr. B cannot rule. According to PDP conventions, rules, and regulations, are not according to the Constitution. That created the climate. Thank you. I believe that created the climate for what's happening to manifest itself this way. Because I believe that there's some element of politicization for people to believe that. For instance, the election riots in parts of the north, where people felt that some other parties will win 80%, and at the end of the day, when they did not get that massive win, there were riots. So is it possible that somebody was thinking that only Mr. A could win, and if he did not win, there will be problems in this society? Let's examine all those issues and to see whether the level of violence in the northeast just escalated because Boko Haram suddenly became better trained, better equipped, and better funded.
Now, in fairness to the NSA there, he did not categorically say the PDP zoning arrangement is solely responsible for the Boko Haram crisis. But what he said there was enough to attract a statement from the PDP, which described the NSA's comment as a grave error and fatal diagnosis of the security challenges facing the nation. I'm quoting from the PDP statement. It warned that political office holders like the NSA, it warned the political office holders now, I should say, against attracting ill feelings for the president. Now, journalists brought up the subject before the president when he went to inspect the office of this day newspaper, which was bombed by suspected Boko Haram militants. Here now is how the president reacted when the question was put to him.
I don't believe that it is undemocratic practice in PDP that could give rise to Boko Haram or any other group. So probably people need to ask the NSA to maybe explain what it really means. But I've read it from the papers. I don't believe it's undemocratic practice in PDP that could give birth to this or any other militant groups.
Well, there you have President Jonathan's reaction. We're going to come back to that issue now because we want to discuss that. But for now, let's go back to our Abuja studio where Chief Chukwuemeka Ezefe is standing by to speak to us on the issue of the 2015 presidency and why his group, for instance, is agitating that the next president of the country should come from the southeast. Chief Chukwuemeka Ezefe, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, tell us what your group is asking for. You want the next president. You said that during the press conference that the next president should come from the southeast zone.
Yes. I think that statement could have come from anybody familiar with the country. The contributions of individual groups to Nigeria. That is the statement the wise person who used to be Emir of Gwandu also made. He believes that for fairness, equity, and justice, the next zone to produce the president is Southeast Zone. What is the reason? We have 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, and rotation of leadership have meaning only in the context of geopolitical zones. Outside of 6 geopolitical zones, there is no meaning to rotation, zoning and rotation. The North and the South were the reason for the amalgamation of Nigeria. They are not the regions of Nigeria or the zones of Nigeria. Anybody talking north-south is causing problems. And nowhere do you find this now north-south defined. The PDP constitution talks about rotation and clearly implies the 6 geopolitical zones. Never north-south. It should be oscillation of pendulum if it is north-south, not rotation.
Let me ask you this.
So,
do you think it's a question of north-south now, the way things are now? Do you think it's a question of north-south and not the 6 geopolitical zones?
I'm giving you reason why it should be southeast. And the reason is this. Rotation has meaning only in the context of 6 geopolitical zones. The northeast has ruled Nigeria for more than 5 years. The northwest has ruled Nigeria for a lot more than 5 years. The north central, a little under 20 years. The west, about 12 years. And now the south-south, by 2015, shall have ruled Nigeria for more than 5 years. Only one zone is left to complete the cycle of 6 geopolitical zones. That zone is southeast. That's why we are saying that no reason available to man can justify the southeast not producing the president come 2015.
Don't you think it is too early at this point in time to discuss, to be making this kind of agitation, considering the fact that 2015 is still about 3 years away?
We are talking about eventually. 2015 is not far away. It is here. In fact, it was October 15, 2010, when this statement was made definitive, positive definite by Yohanes Ndibo, saying that 2015 belongs to them. It remains so. There may be other happenings, and we will react like mature politicians to them.
And then I have to ask you this. President Goodluck Jonathan has not come out openly to say he would not be seeking another term in 2015. What happens if he decides to run again in 2015?
The South East dumped all her eggs in Jonathan's basket and motivated other zones to do the same, especially Middle Belt, South-South, and Southwest. We supported Jonathan. We support Jonathan. We are not going to play a game of competition or conflict with Jonathan. It will be always a game of cooperation. If the Constitution, which provides for 2 terms, allows Jonathan to run, and he decides he should run, we will support his decision. But we will be preparing ourselves for 2015 in case. And then, when the time comes for decision making, with Jonathan cheering, we will decide. We take a look at the situation and say, Jonathan, the situation is right. You can win. Then we support you. Go ahead. Or it may be that the situation in the country will not give him a chance of winning without ruining all the contributions to the quality of voting that he has made in Nigeria. In which case we say, if it appears you cannot win, support us. Let's go and win. So 2015 remains our target date, but it is not in any way to make us play a game of conflict or competition with Jonathan.
I have to ask you this because you said something there very important. You said the Constitution provides for 2 terms for a president, and that if the Constitution allows President Goodluck Jonathan to run in 2015, that you'll support him. Are you in any way suggesting, or would you by any chance now, any stretch of the imagination now, be saying there's a chance that the Constitution may prevent President Goodluck Jonathan from contesting? Because right on this program, just not quite long ago, we had somebody from the northern part of the country here who came to argue that President Jonathan is doing his second and last term, and that he would not be qualified to seek re-election in 2015.
Well, that is for constitutional lawyers to do. I'm a politician. The Constitution provides for 2 terms of 4 years each. A person has the right, after 4 years, to go for another 4 years. I do not believe that by completing the term of office of the first term of somebody else, that if, for example, the person died one month to the end of his tenure, and somebody is sworn in to complete that month, that means the person has been sworn in. And if he wins and is sworn in again, then he will never be sworn in a third time. That I don't know. But the lawyers can tell us. I don't believe it is so. I think he is allowed to run by the Constitution. I don't know for sure. But the lawyer can tell us what it is. But if he's allowed to run, he may run with our support if he can win. If it's clear he can win. If he's allowed to run and the circumstances don't look like he can win without doing damage to the entire system, we will plead with him to support us, and we play with him a game of cooperation, win-win.
And you're sounding as if it's just the PDP you're looking at, right? That it's just through the PDP that the Southeast can actualize its ambition of having a president in 2015.
I don't understand the question, please. Can you repeat?
I am saying that you are sounding, when you say you're going to seek the cooperation of President Jonathan, that if there's any chance that he won't win, that you're going to seek his cooperation. Now, what I'm asking is, under what platform now would you be seeking to to achieve your ambition? I mean, produce a Southeast president in 2015. Are you looking at the PDP platform alone?
No, I am not in any party at all now. I don't belong to PDP, don't belong to any political party. We do not even know what platform eventually will be used. Standing today, the PDP looks the most attractive. Anything can happen. The God of the Igbo will give the Igbo the platform to use to become president 2015. We are due for it. We have worked for it. We voted with our feet for one Nigeria. We are building one Nigeria all over the place. And when in 1966 we were rejected and we wanted to leave, we were forced back to Nigeria. And we came back as if nothing happened. Started development, started education, working hard everywhere. Look at Abuja. Who built it? It was after the war. So everybody who can think will know that we have demonstrated the greatest confidence, the greatest interest in the permanence of one Nigeria. It remains so today. If you go to history, you check Azikiwe and his rule in Nigeria. You remember the offer by British government to give us separate independence, those who are ready. If the East had accepted independence in 1957, we wouldn't be talking about this now. So at all points, remember when also Zik was offered to be prime minister, because of one Nigeria and the interest of the permanence of one Nigeria, he declined that offer. In every way, in every case, the Igbo, the Southeast, have demonstrated its faith in one Nigeria. And I think Jokolo, the former emir of Gwandu, was so intelligent and so fair in his assessment that the Igbo must take a turn so that the 6 zones complete the rotation. After that, it may be meritocratic. People can now go and, according to their merit, they voted for.
All right. I have to thank you very much, Chief Chukwuemeka Ezefe, for your time and your contribution. Thank you very much for joining us on Politics Today. I've been speaking to Chief Chukwuemeka Ezefe, the former governor.
Thank you very much, and I wish you in the press.
Well, Chief Chukwuemeka Ezefe there, the former governor of Anambra State, making a case for the Southeast presidency. Let me bring in my guest at this point. I'm being joined by Mr. Chima Nnaji, who is a lawyer and a political analyst, and Dr. Suwadogo, a political scientist. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let me start with you.
Thank you.
And let us start from the interview we just had with Chief Chukwuemeka Ezefe there. Dr. Dogo, what do you make of the agitation of the Southeast? I mean, the case he made there for the Southeast to produce the next president.
I believe every geopolitical zone or anybody can aspire to be anything in the country. And but you see, the issue is not a geopolitical zone issue to say, look, I want to have an Igbo presidency. We want to have a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and you work for it, and you join the political platform that will produce such a person. And to say, oh, look, you don't even belong to any political party, and you're talking about it, I think there is a sort of I don't know, an error of judgment here, because you know in Nigeria there are just 2 political parties, that is the PDP and the others. All the others put together do not constitute up to 1/10 the strength of the PDP. And so if the Southeast geopolitical zone is not working within the PDP at present to achieve their ambition, then they are yet to start, and probably they are not even thinking at all. because I will expect that they will have put their thinking cap together, get into the PDP, work for the success of the PDP at all levels of governance,
course, I would argue,
and then strategize
argue
on
that
how
they worked
to
for
do so.
the emergence of this president. The Southeast voted massively for him.
That's a different thing. That one is historical. We are now looking into the future, and you have to work to achieve what lies ahead. What has happened, has gone. And there is no way anybody can wake up tomorrow and say, look, the president will just give it up like that for whatever reasons. He could. I'm not saying that he cannot. He could. But I will be very surprised if there can be any constitutional barrier to prevent him
President Goodluck
for
Jonathan from
a
running.
second term. I will be very surprised, and I don't see it. I mean, the lawyer here may tell us, well, even if the person is saying, you can say 8 years, isn't it? If he served 1 year for Yar Adwa, it means he still has at least 3 years. So if he is going to get in and he will spend another 3 years, so be it. But you can't say, look, he has spent 2 terms of 8 years. It may be difficult.
Anyway,
but that is left for the PDP to decide as a family, because the PDP works as a family. And therefore, they can decide, work, and say, look, let us arrange this. It wouldn't be a problem. I can assure you that.
Chief Naji, would you, for instance, say Chief Chukwuma Kaizefe and his group are probably asking for too much, 2015, especially when you consider the fact that this president may want to run?
I think you asked the question, what if the present president decides to run? He gave a succinct answer.
Very balanced.
Yes. You see, when you are preparing for an examination in an atmosphere of potential riot, you don't go to sleep because there is likelihood of riot. An intelligent person must continue to prepare for the exam as if it is tomorrow. If tomorrow comes and there is no exam, the knowledge is not lost. It only leverages you at a time when the exam will finally come. I think the issue of, like Dr. Dogo said, if the group is not in any political group.
Yeah, I was going to.
I think these gentlemen are too politically sagacious to be so dismissed so simplistically. You understand? If you do a content analysis of his statement, you will see the political sagacity in his statement. For example, he may not belong to any political party now, but there is a content of eclecticism, the art of the possible. That is what politics is about. You may be in PDP today, and he said tomorrow anything can change. And you cannot say that people of Southeast are not in various political parties. And they are doing what they ought to do within the various political frameworks.
But as Dr. Dogo said, you think if he said, look, if they are planning, if they really want this and they are not doing it within the framework of the PDP, is just a waste of time.
Those ones in PDP are working hard towards, after all, the zoning system itself was contrived essentially by people like Dr. Kwemedem, okay, at the halcyon days of PDP. There are a lot of transmutations that have taken place within the PDP enclave. You will even say that some groups, what they have chosen to call cabals these days, which is normal in politics. Power is not handed over like tom-tom. You understand? Even sometimes people want to extend, if it is possible, to stretch what has been written in black and white to suit their own. What the man is saying is that equity demands that, and that equity is within the confines of PDP. Remember that there are many other political parties that have different contrivances and contraptions.
So it's not possible.
But PDP is the one that is talking about zoning, essentially. And it leads the way. When PDP says they zone this, the other political parties, one way or the other. He said there is PDP and the rest. And in fact, even in a marketing environment, you look at the leader. When the leader decides to come in with a particular brand and a certain pricing strategy and all that, the smaller ones must do some adjustment. So I think that what the group, I don't know the name of that group, But certainly it cannot just be the only group. There is also our Hanes and Dibo.
Quite prominent.
You know, Hanes and Dibo is peopled by people of different political persuasions. You understand? So it is just the reality on ground that the political party that has the muzzle in the muzzle, I use that word very advisedly. The muzzle in our kind of political environment, because it is not muzzle that we use to win elections ordinarily.
Dr. Dogo, let me ask you this. I'm just trying to paint a scenario here. If President Goodluck Jonathan decides to run in 2015 and he goes on to win in 2015, don't you think it makes the case of the Southeast zone now very difficult if they come up in 2019, for instance, to say they want the presidency to come to the Southeast, especially when you consider the fact that some people from the northern zone still think, well, this presidency has been away from them for too long?
It's not an issue of thinking, it's the reality. And under a normal situation, if the president should run in 2015, he wins, and we have the vice president there, as loyal, as humble, as dedicated as he has been, it is normal and natural that, look, that person should naturally become the president. And even if he doesn't, it is actually of right for the North to ask that, look, their son was supposed to have 8 years. By some unfortunate circumstances, he did not complete those 8 years. So they should have the opportunity of doing that. And so nobody can deny the North that aspect of saying that, look, they are right in their demand to say that they should complete the
But then these people are saying we have never produced one before.
Well, it is more of what I don't know how to describe it. If you look at it in the real sense of it, it may not be exactly like that. You can say, look, the first president of this country was from that zone. You know, you shouldn't be talking of saying
never had powers.
You shouldn't be talking of whether you had powers or not, whether it was ceremonial.
Let's not get into
power.
that.
Listen,
the truth of the matter is that if you are looking at it from
I have
that
the floor now.
Well,
yeah, let him just finish. Yeah.
You see, the political calculations of anybody you choose, isn't it? Whether you should have been prime minister or president. And at that material time, when the calculations came, the first president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria came from that side of the country. And so if you cannot technically and politically genuinely say that, look, they have
Even
not had
when the prime minister was in control of the government.
Control of the government.
Absolutely.
Agreed. But the president, constitutionally, who was the number one person? Constitutionally, the number one person was the president. And he actually decides on some certain issues that will say, look, he is the number one person in the country.
You cannot compare a president under a parliamentary system to a president in a presidential system.
No. You have to understand the context in which we are talking of now. Whether it's a parliamentary or a presidential system of government, where you say, look, in a parliamentary, the president is just a statutory head. He is just, he doesn't even have any powers or anything. It is not exactly like that. Even if you look at the British system, which is more parliamentary than you can say parliamentary, you can at least see the monarchy there and what happens. Not to talk of Nigerian situation, which is not a monarchy. So it is difficult for you to deny the North from aspiring to produce the president. So it will be difficult.
We could be heading for a potential clash here.
Well, let me state very clearly. I really am usually very, very ashamed that this country should descend to the abysmal political level of insisting that people from certain areas must be this or that.
But instead of getting,
ordinarily, instead of getting the best. And that's why we are stuck to where we are here now. Such that, in fact, the various people should have been saying that we are entitled to produce our own mumu at the State House. Because that's what has been happening. We have had so many mumus in the State House. That is what has kept us here. Because if yesterday was better, if 2 days ago was better than yesterday, and today is better than...
You're essentially saying we shouldn't be talking about zoning and
ordinarily. But the reality on ground is that politics without equity cannot stand. Do you understand? So if you're talking about right, I am happy that you are a political scientist. you know the difference between the parliamentary system and the presidential system. And in politics about the game of who gets what, when and how. That's what politics is about. The capacity or the power to allocate resources and change lives of people. Now, if in a parliamentary system, the locus of power was in the prime minister, and the prime minister used it to ingratiate himself and his own cronies. They may not necessarily come from his own area, but definitely in politics, you have your core area, and then you have the people who are at the periphery of the power quotient. Okay? In the presidential system, you have the executive power concentrated in you. The other time, Zik reigned just like the Queen of England. Okay? There's no locus of power. It's ceremonial. But that is not the issue, even though because of the intellectual prowess of the personality of Zik brought some kind of allure to that office. Ordinarily, it was a pedestrian appellation to be known as a president, like an elephant with a foot of clay. You understand? You can't move. So if we are saying here that other zones, because I have actually personally advocated that this country should forget about states and run on zones. And the principle for that zonal arrangement should be equalitarianism. Okay? Equality of zones, just like you have equality of states. If you want to create 95 local governments in 1 week, that is your business in that zone. And it should not be a basis of allocation of revenue.
But do you think we could be heading for a potential clash
now,
in 2019?
If it is clash in the sense of fighting, like the Igbo
no,
people,
no, I'm not
yes, politically, you understand. But it is a question of, if PDP says they are not bound by this, another party that is ready to give you what you want, you go for that. But the truth of the matter is that PDP may think that it's a political behemoth today, but inequity have been known to be one of the greatest platforms on which big animals have been slaughtered and dismembered. So if PDP wants to maintain its political force and cohesion, you understand, because
should consider
there is no way you can practice inequity for too long. Because if the goat is laughing today because the sheep is being slaughtered at the abattoir,
tomorrow it might be.
Tomorrow it is certainly because it's the same machete or the same knife they used in killing the goat that will go to the head of the sheep.
Let me just.
It's the same hand you use in shelling melon. That same hand you use in shelling granite. So it's a question of achieving equity. It may be your turn today to smile, and you want to urinate on those people who are grimacing their face. This world is
Dr.
a merry-go-round.
Yes.
Yeah, very quickly.
Maybe he didn't get me right. I am saying that just as the Southeast has the right, do you get it, to aspire to that office, so does the president at present has the constitutional right to continue for the next 4 years. In the same vein, the North also has the constitutional right, and with the same arguments, to aspire to take over power if the president decides not to. And even if the president decides to, come 2019, the North can still do so. That is what I am saying. I'm not saying that any zone does not have the right to aspire for that. In fact, not even the West. You can't even rule out any particular zone. And maybe one area that I'll say that we can agree on, except for some particular reasons, that is to have the best. Unfortunately, in the Nigerian context, when they talk of North, or they talk of South, West, or Southeast, in the Southwest, in those days, even now, they think of the Igbo man. Southwest, they think of the Yoruba man. North, they think of the Hausa Fulani man, which is not the case. You see it? And so when you remove the zoning, which is the wisdom of the PDP to give even those people who wouldn't have naturally been considered the opportunity, then you see the sagacity or the political wisdom of the PDP. Because if they have just said north, west, east, you come to the west, it is only a particular, Yorubas. Go to the east, you will only be talking of the Igbos. Go to the north, you will only be talking of the Hausa Fulani. Are they the only people that can produce the best?
All right, let's just switch gears.
You see, but anybody at any level, I believe in Nigeria, we will reach that level whereby we are not going to be judged by so-called zone, so-called tribe, so-called religion, so-called pattern. Look, as we are now, as a matter of fact, we are already drifting to the level where we are saying we are wanting to become local champion. We don't even have national leaders any longer. People are only thinking of their zones. People are organizing all sorts of things to talk about zones. They don't talk about Nigeria. They don't talk about, you hardly find somebody waking up and he's talking about the whole country. We want leaders that will look at Nigeria as one single entity, and it is their constituency. Look, let us get the best for Nigeria. We're not talking of getting the best for the east, for the west, or for the north, or for any region, or for any zone. We want the best for Nigeria. And we want leaders that will look at Nigeria as Nigeria and not as their own local constituencies.
That won't happen under this kind of situation. The only salvation I foresee is there is a global demand for good governance. It is either you are in or you are out, because the challenges of leadership goes beyond the frontiers of any particular national boundaries. You understand? As we continue to grow in our democratic experience, those who are even in power now will see that it is no longer the same way leaders in this country were pampered in the past. So those who want to aspire to leadership position of this country should know from even what is going on now within the country, not to talk about the world, that this is no longer a question of chronism. It is a question of, can you deliver? You are going to deliver on the economic front to better the lives of the people, or you make sure that you are no longer to be in the country at all, because you will completely be ruined yourself.
All right, I want us to take a short break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at that statement made by the National Security Advisor and the response of President Goodluck Jonathan, as well as the subsidy probe report, which has been approved by the House. We want to find out what next will be happening. So we'll take a short break now, and we'll be right back.
Everybody, it's riddle time. Yeah! Whoever gets the answer will be treated to a unique delight. Are you ready?
Yes, we're ready.
What looks like a spiral you have ever known?
Dangote pasta is so exciting.
What looks like an elbow you have ever seen?
Dangote pasta is so inviting.
What looks so slim you can't imagine?
Dangote pasta tastes so
Dangote pasta is enriched with 10 vitamins and minerals, fast and easy to cook. Thrill for the whole family. With Dangote pasta, it's delicious time every time. Dangote pasta. Mamma mia, how can I resist you?
Welcome back, and if you've just joined us, you're watching Politics Today, and I have in the studio here Dr. Isua Dogo, who's a political scientist, and Mr. Chimanaji, a lawyer and a political analyst. Gentlemen, let us now look at that statement made by the National Security Advisor. I played that. You saw the soundbite before we got Chief Chukwuemeka Ezefe to speak. I mean, before we had that interview with him. Let me start with you, Mr. Naji. What do you make of that? I mean, what he said and the reaction of the president.
Frankly speaking, if you ask me, as you just did, I would, if I were to have had the opportunity of advising the NSA, I would have discouraged him from making that kind of statement. Not necessarily because it may not be true, But for the fact that he is paid from the National Treasury to do a job, which incidentally is or includes, if he knows that X may have been the cause of the national security problems, he should devise strategies on how to resolve them, rather than come to television or newspaper or something. It's just like on this particular program or one of your programs in this studio, when the president once said that Boko Haram had infiltrated his government, I gave an illustration. Police officers on, what do they call it? Stop and search. Checkpoint. They saw a vehicle, the vehicle parked, open your boot, you open and saw catch of arms and ammunition. They tapped the car, you can go. And came to those selling granite and mai on the road. That motorway they were now those criminals, so now then they go. Do you want them to use stone to chase those people? You have the gun yourself to face them. So it was not necessary for the NSA to have said that, just as it was not necessary for the president to lament. If he knew that these people have invaded his government, he should deal with them.
But let us look at the reaction of the president now.
Now,
you see some kind of
even
disconnect.
The reaction of the president himself, I don't know whether he was trying to impress anybody. He probably could have kept quiet, let his men. He has a retinue of advisors that can take such issues up. You understand? You see, the general is the last one that comes to the war front. Otherwise, the entire thing will crumble.
We're still going to play the soundbite of the
So
president.
I don't think the president had any reason refuting that statement so pointedly. Nor would I justify what the NSA himself or that the NSA said it. Because that was his job anyway.
Dr. Lugo, you think this is a huge embarrassment for
Serious
this government?
one.
Absolutely.
Serious one.
But I'll start by saying there is no similarity between what the president said and what the National Security Advisor said. When the president said that, look, he believes or he thinks that those people have infiltrated his government, you can't say it is a similar thing as what this guy is saying. You have to understand that as a leader, when you reach a certain level and you feel that you are not achieving the kind of results you need to achieve, and you believe within you, or you think that, look, your lieutenants should do better, you can say a thing like that. It does not necessarily mean that you have known that they are there. Certainly, I am more than convinced if the president knows anybody today who is involved in that, he is going to sack that person. Whether it's the inspector general, whether it's the vice president, whether it's the minister, whoever is involved.
But how
I'm sure he
huge
will
an
do that.
embarrassment
But
is this?
but for this fellow, he has simply admitted that he himself has failed, because he is the one employed to do that job. The president got him to do something like that. And truly speaking, I don't think the reaction of the president is out of place. And remember, he said that maybe the guy has a different context, that he was making the statement and is going to explain. Before we go to that, I think
because I want us to listen to the president again. I want us to take a listen to the president again. Let us listen to what the president said. If I have that soundbite now, what the president's reaction now to the NSA's statement shortly after the NSA made that statement. Now, let us take a listen to what the president said when he went to visit This Day newspaper to inspect the damage caused by that bomb blast.
I don't believe that it is undemocratic practice in PDP that could give rise to Boko Haram or any other group. So probably people need to ask the NSA to maybe explain what it really means. But I've read it from the papers. I don't believe it's undemocratic practice in PDP that could give birth to this or any other militant groups.
The NSA must be worried with this kind of reaction.
Before you condemn the president, you should have played the question. He is answering a question, mind you, and him who is answering the question, his statement is in the context of the question, and anybody will have answered in that way. And in the first place, anybody who will say that undemocratic practices in the PDP is a fallacy.
The NSA completely got it wrong.
You see, and nobody in his right mind can even attempt saying that is the reason. You know, just as I've said here.
He said it's one of the reasons anyway.
Whatever the attribution to even mention it with relation to what happens in the PDP does not arise. You get it? It doesn't come. It doesn't come. And it can never be. And there is nobody in this country who can say there's any other political party that has a semblance of democracy the PDP has.
Okay.
Internally, in any way, any form, any pattern, any manner. No, but no, before I keep quiet, you have to understand that, look, you as the president, they will hear the person you have entrusted so much making that statement. I am sorry. Maybe if it were me, I don't think he would have been there up to now.
He'll be fired.
I don't think I'll have wasted up to 1 hour if I ascertain that he actually said something like that. Because he has simply admitted, look, Mr. President, I have felt I don't know what to do, and therefore I am now blaming you. And when before you
just please,
there is a point here I want to make.
You have to hold your point. No. I have to say.
Let me explain to you.
You have been taking the time. I must make this statement.
I am going to come to you. I am going to come to you. Just hold on.
He mentioned. I heard the National Security Advisor, isn't it? When he said that because the president run or whatever it is, you see, you can bring out about 5 to 10 reasons. You can adduce some of those reasons. You are saying it's because he insisted on running. That is why Boko Haram is there.
Yeah, exactly.
Or because a particular person who did not win is causing
the problem.
You that the National Security Advisor, why don't you take action? Or you are saying, oh, look, if there had been no zoning, then there wouldn't have been that. Can you verify that? That, look, if they eliminate zoning, you wouldn't have that. And if you believe that it's because of zoning and there are elements who are not agreeing to the zoning, why don't you take action?
All right. Let me just pause you there.
I can enumerate the 10.
Let me just pause you there and let me bring him in. Yeah,
let me, for the umpteenth time, stress that strategically it is wrong for the NSA to have been the one voicing what he said. For the simple
fact, think he should be fired.
I will build my case. For the simple fact that that is within the domain of his authority to advise the president from security reports because of the problem or the challenges this country is going through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these are the strategies we have mapped out to contain them. Please approve. Do you understand? It's not for television or newspaper. Or in fact, the media or public is not in the public domain. You hardly hear the National Security Advisor in the U.S. talking. It's only when they are retired and you see them making statements about Iraq or things that are not even connected to the main issue now. That is not necessarily to impugn the content of what the NSA said, because that thing has been in the public domain. So many people have voiced it. You understand what I mean? There have been so much speculation, the veracity of which may not have been tied in. That one is not the issue. Then, was the president right to have reacted the way he did?
Should he have just kept quiet?
I believe that it should have been the job of his aides.
Well, but I mean, this happened on the spot.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Is it every question that you ask somebody that he must answer?
So is it in WAEC?
Is it to WAEC? Is it WAEC question? So the issue is that there must be diplomacy in the management of information. For example, the president, you said that what the president said that Boko Haram had invaded his administration or infiltrated is not the same thing here. That statement was capable of heating up the system. You understand what I mean? It could have been seen that he made it out of frustration. And you could see the frenetic manner, the security forces, because there have been so much criticism. Many Nigerians have not seen this type of thing. Even though some of us feel that the way some Nigerians are behaving is not good, we need to support the government. Because some of us foresaw, because I have always believed that what a man does is potential in another. So for us to have thought that
in your
bombing
opinion,
can only take place in Iraq.
How should the president be dealing with this? What should he do to
president
the NSA?
Presently, the NSA, if I were to be him, since the president has made a statement that is directly in affront.
Yeah, because for the president to have said, go and ask him to explain.
Natural thing I expect of him would be to resign. Do you understand what I mean? Because it is tantamount to sacking him. He had been sacrificed ordinarily.
But
if his aides, it may not happen. But if the aides of the president were the ones handling this thing, you understand, the general doesn't come to the war front unless the last man has gone, because his position is to plan the war. If he has gone to the war himself, implementing the war, then the war is as bad as lost. So what we are saying is, it is not so much about what the NSA said, but the fact that he was the one who said it. There are certain things that shouldn't come from certain,
But it's quite true
voices.
that you have this perception out there.
Please,
as well.
I think you have to understand this. The guy said that the issue is within the PDP. This is the point I'm trying to make. He's inferring that Boko Haram is being carried out by PDP itself. If you say it's because of the problems or the lack of the undemocratic nature of the PDP, you are indirectly saying because of that, some members of the PDP are now sponsoring or doing what is happening to Boko Haram.
The doctor is a PDP man. So it's not as if it is a political contest.
No.
We are making a dispassionate analysis of what the issue. Forget about defending your party.
No, it is not issue of defending
your party is not on the spot here.
No, my party is on the spot, because if you say that it is because of the zoning or the undemocratic nature of the PDP, you are directly insulting me as a member of the PDP. I'm not even talking of PDP.
Let us take a listen to the NSA again.
Me?
I want us to take a listen to the NSA again so that we listen to him properly, understand what he said, and then we'll just come back to wrap up. Let's take a listen to the NSA, that's the National Security Advisor, what he said at that South-South Economic Summit.
PD people will not agree with me. They would like to attack me, but please do it in private. I want to believe that PDP got it wrong from the beginning. From the onset by saying, Mr. A can rule, Mr. A cannot rule, Mr. B can rule, Mr. B cannot rule, according to PDP conventions, rules, and regulations, and not according to the Constitution. That created the climate. Thank you. I believe that created the climate for what's happening to manifest itself this way, because I believe that there's some element of politicization for people to believe that. For instance, the election riots in parts of the north, where people felt that some other parties will win 80%, and at the end of the day, when they did not get that massive win, there were riots. So is it possible that somebody was thinking that only Mr. A could win, and if he did not win, there will be problems in this society? Let's examine all those issues to see whether the level of violence in the northeast just escalated because Boko Haram suddenly became better trained, better equipped, and better funded.
Explain to you.
Yeah.
Where he has got it, even I don't know how to describe it. It appears he didn't even know what was happening during the elections. The presidential elections took place on Saturday, and Sunday people were killing. The result had not even been announced. So for you to attribute it to that, it doesn't make sense.
But they also, a lot of people knew what the result was.
And then you will let us be fairly objective.
Now you are also...
There are things that are in the public domain.
Are you saying that...
There are things that are in the public domain. It was public knowledge.
Was it the PDP? You are now saying it is PDP that went on killing? Are you saying that it was kids? So that is why it doesn't. There is no correlation. What he's saying with respect to the riots and the killings doesn't have any correlation with the PDP, because if the PDP was winning, the PDP couldn't have done killing as well. And things of that nature.
I want you.
That is what you
want you to react to
understand.
that. I mean, when he made that statement, you could see that he was applauded.
listen
just
to me.
please, I am,
There are
I
different
have
people.
the
I'm
time.
coming
It's
to you,
my
Dr.
own
Dogo.
time.
Yeah, I'm coming to you,
It's
Dr. Dogo.
it's my own time.
Yes.
The
All
fact,
right,
the
go
fact
on.
is this. The
But very quickly.
the man started by saying, I believe.
Of course, he was given his own opinion.
So he's entitled to that. The only thing I said is, given the sensitive nature of his position,
And the
he
opinion
should
of
have
the
kept
NSA
his
matters.
belief. You understand what I mean? Because with that position, you don't tell even your nearest friend what you think about certain things because of the risk of the thing leaking out. It has so much authority. What he just said there is in the public domain.
And
It has been voiced 1,001 times in the media, including people in government, in the security forces.
I should say most times, your opinions too could influence the
Do you
way
understand? Yes.
you deal with
For
certain
example,
issues. So,
somebody in the SSS sometime came up with this and said it in a national television, that some people believe that they have the birthright to. You understand what I mean? So it's something that people canvass. People have different opinions.
That is not
but
something
it
that
should
should be
not
coming out
come
from
from
the
the NSA because that position is sacrosanct.
I'll let you have
a
I'll let you
sensitive
have the
position.
final say, Dr. Dogo, in just about 30 seconds.
Well, I think he has said something he shouldn't have said, and I think he owes Nigerians an apology, and particularly the PDP.
Should it just be an apology?
And he should resign with immediate effect.
Your position is not quite different from his. You've
Well,
also
my
said he should
position
resign.
is, personally, I believe that what he said is not necessarily the issue, but it should not have been from him. You understand? And the president haven't gone public with his own position, either for whatever reason. For whatever reason, because the reason could also be consistent with.
It's okay. This is
Consistent with what
why you are so particular about the president?
I want you to complete
the
it.
president
Yes,
was
in
so
conclusion, in conclusion, doctor.
No, I have to
In
conclude.
conclusion, having said what he said, and the president having reacted the way he did, there is a conflict situation.
Yes.
Please.
And
That is true.
one must give.
Give.
The president is not going to resign. It has to be the NSA.
Okay.
He shouldn't wait to be asked to go.
But don't blame
On
the
honor.
don't blame the president because he was
On honor.
answering a question.
And the president
Please.
has to answer.
And he
The
has to
president-
answer
the
the
president
question.
can be
To
more
say he is not,
diplomatic.
He's not
he
bound
was
to
very-
answer, but
in
he
fact,
can be
it's
more
just normal. He
diplomatic
was, in
next time,
fact, he was
please.
more than diplomatic. That is why he said they can
can
ask
be
him
more
to explain.
diplomatic.
Okay. All right. I mean,
The president was being frank in answering.
I want to
but
thank you,
I
gentlemen,
need
for
that
coming.
He should be more
No,
diplomatic.
you
next
can't
time.
thank us
We're
for coming
out of
because
time.
there is a critical issue
Time.
which you said that we have to talk, and even if it is 1 second, with respect to the
Very quickly, the House of Representatives.
exactly. I think if there is anything that you can say is a righteous, is a good, is an excellent thing, is what the House or the National Assembly
And
has
you'll
done.
be expecting the
and I
president to do
believe,
something.
I believe the executive is going to take action. And if they don't, I'm sure Nigerians generally are going to take action. And those people must refund the money if they are found to have done anything wrong, and they should be punished for
that-
whatever it is.
and that is with regard to the
Whoever,
subsidy probe.
no matter how highly placed the person might be.
This is an opportunity for the president to demonstrate that he has the capacity and the will,
To fight corruption.
political will to fight corruption. Because so many people have been insinuating that many people on that list are the president's friends. But this is the opportunity to prove them completely wrong. That he is there as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and not as friends. The Bible says, if your finger, one of your fingers will put you into trouble,
And
cut
the,
it off.
and the president too
So
has said
even
he's not
if it
gonna
is his
spare
wife
anyone.
or his
Yes,
brother or the
anybody,
vice president
yes.
or anybody, no matter how close, no matter how highly placed, if it's a former president or
You should
anybody,
deal with
the
those
person
people.
should be
Allow
dealt
the
with
law,
And the issue of subsidy
allow
is so
the
dear
law
to
to
us.
take its full course.
All right.
without any form of interference.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for reminding me, because this issue of the NSA took a lot of our time. But thank you very much for your contributions.
Incidentally, this one is more important, sir. Because if we have trillions coming back to the coffers of the national, the national coffers, we will have more money to
I said here
use for
that they will
Nigerians.
give us change after
matter
the
of fact,
subsidy. That we actually were not paying subsidy.
We will
But
still discuss it further. Thank you
problem.
very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
It's a
Mr.
pleasure.
Chiman Naji, thank
It's
you
a
very
pleasure.
much. That's it on the program. tonight. We want to thank you very much for watching. We're back again next week. I am Deji Badimasi. See you then.